Welcome to the second part of this handmade by Christine video on Sunburst or Starburst cards. In the first part we made 3 cards, and in this second part we're going to make 3 more plus a bonus. You'll need a trimmer later on. You'll want some stamps for your sentiments and some punches. I've made these already, and I've used an ink that obviously that will go with my pattern paper. You might want a corner rounder. I don't think I actually used one in the end. You'll want some glue dots. I punched out a bit of decoration using some of my coloured card. I used some bits of ribbon, and I've got a clever trick to show you how to tie some ribbon using a cylinder of some sort. I found this little votive holder was just about the right size. You're going to need some glue, you're going to need some jewels. You might want to use an embossing folder if you've got a Big Shot or similar machine. Double-sided tape, pokey tool, and a cup of tea. So for these cards we're using this pattern paper. We had 3 pieces that we trimmed down to 9.5 centimetres wide by 13.9 centimetres. The remaining 3 strips, which are 5.5 centimetres wide, we trimmed horizontally at 6 centimetres, 7 and 8.5, and then each of those small rectangles was cut in half diagonally. Then we had 5 sheets of the pattern paper, and we trimmed that at 4.5 centimetres wide, cut the rectangle at 10.5 centimetres and divided it in 2 diagonally. Okay, so to start with we're going to use the skinny triangles, so let's move the others out of the way and concentrate on these. For this we're using the card that's been trimmed down so that this piece is 5.25 centimetres, and we've got a piece of the neutral colour that will fit on top of it. We're going to trim it once we've done all the sticking. Now we need to decide where the focal point is going to be, and rather than trying to get it in half and it not quite working, I like to deliberately offset it. So I'm going to aim for that area. And first thing is to put glue all over the piece. And I prefer to use something like a Pritt stick for this rather than wet glue or double-sided tape. I think it works better. So aiming for my point here, I'm going to start with one triangle, and then I'm just going to alternate a bit like so. Now it's important that I cover the edge here. This little piece is going to be covered up, so it doesn't matter if there's a little gap there. Let's do the next one. And this. You could get away with using less than 5 different papers, but this gives a nice variety to the pattern. What one should we have next? Let's have this one. No, I'm going to have the stripy one next and finish with the flowery one. Like so, and like so. Now it looks quite a mess at the moment, doesn't it? But it will soon look lovely. So I'm going to do my initial trim with scissors, just following the neutral card, and keep all these pieces because we're going to use those for the bonus card later on. The other advantage of having put the glue on the neutral card is that these pieces don't have glue all over them, so they're not going to stick together when I put them to one side. Right, let's have a look. There, that's looking better already, but I just want to trim it down. So I'll grab my trimmer and I'm just going to cut off about 1/2 centimetre all the way round. Let's just have a look and see if it needs any more cutting off. No, I'm satisfied with that. So depending on what you want to do here, you might want to put a greeting on it or just a gem. I want to be able to tie the card together with ribbon. Put some double-sided tape on the back in line with my focal point. Use my poker tool to get it off and stick the ribbon in place. And then I can mount that on the front of the card. Now for the inside of the card, and again we want the ribbon in place, so let's just trim it in half, making a sort of triangle at the end. And we want it roughly in line, so double-sided tape to the fore, here we go, put it on, peel it back and put the ribbon on. Now we can put this piece on again with the double-sided tape. Now you might want to put a little bit of decoration here, so get one of your leftover bits. How about this? And I'm just going to trim it with some scissors. Just put a little decoration there. Use your imagination, do whatever shape you want. I just wanted a little bit to go on there. So I'm going to put my sentiment here. Remember, you'll only need the double-sided tape on this side. If you put it on both sides, then the card's not going to work. So let's peel off the backing. And arrange it like so. Then all we need to do is tie a little bow or a knot here. There we are. So the next two cards are done using these smaller pieces, and I had a piece of card of 10.5 by 14 centimetres, and I cut it at the 7 centimetre mark to divide it in half. So again, we put Pritt stick or similar all over the card, and I'm just going to do one at a time because I don't want the glue to have dried by the time I get to the second one. And again, I'm not going quite to the middle, I'm offsetting a little bit. Another advantage of using glue, you've got time for a bit of rearrangement if you find you've gone wrong somewhere. And the important thing is to cover the outside edges, not worrying so much about that because that's going to be covered up. So I'm just going to move this back just a little bit, make sure I've covered the corner. We could actually use one of the pieces that of the narrow rectangles that I didn't use before. So this piece is going to be covered by the bow, so long as it's fairly tidy, you're going to be all right. Again, go over to the back and trim around. And there we are. That's looking fine. And then we do a similar thing with the second piece. I'm actually going to use one of the pieces that I've cut off in this little gap here. Now one of these I'm going to emboss to give a nice texture to it and to make sure that everything's well stuck down. Okay, for this I'm going to use a trick that I saw on YouTube of getting a piece of ribbon around a card. Now you need a suitable size container and just use it as a form to tie your bow. There we are, that's pretty, and I'm just going to trim off the ends. Now the clever part, just cut this in half, and we've now got a bow that will go around the card. Make sure the bow is where you want it to be, on the focal point, and just wrap the ends around. So let's put some more double-sided tape on and we can mount this on the card. And then I'm just going to add a greeting down in the bottom corner. There we are. So this one I'm going to decorate with this edge that I punched earlier. And just trim it down and use some double-sided tape on the back. Stick the edge down, and then once it's stuck I can trim it to the right length, either with a trimmer or just with scissors. I've already embossed the front of the card. I'm going to add that on. Now if you wanted to leave a border around, you could trim that down a little bit. I'm quite happy with it as it is though. There we are, and now I'm going to add a little ribbon. Although I think what I'm going to do, just to cover that up, I'm going to put my greeting there and add my ribbon down at the bottom. This was just the piece I cut off the bow that I made for the other card, and I've just tied a knot in it, and I'm going to use a little glue dot. Here we are. Now sometimes these glue dots are just a little bit too big for what you want, but if you pick up the glue dot, take it off its backing, and then you can sort of wrap it around itself to reduce it in size. But I find that for a little bit of ribbon, a glue dot is a better solution than double-sided tape. So there we are. And I think I'm just going to put a little jewel on top of it just to add some interest. Let's have a look. Could do a green one that ties in quite nicely, or the green sparkly, I think. Let's go for that and stick it on. So that's the 2 cards done. Now I did promise you a bonus card, so let's move on to that. So now on to the bonus card. Collect together all the scraps and put glue all over a piece of card that's approximately 14.3 by 10 centimetres. So just slightly smaller than your A5 card folded in half. Now the fun begins. Just pick out some pieces and make a pattern. Okay, so that's the whole surface covered, and again I'm going to go to the back of my card and just trim the pieces off. And there we are. Doesn't matter if there are a few little gaps, because the neutral card goes with the papers that we've chosen, so it just looks deliberate. I'm going to emboss this to give it some texture and to make sure that everything's stuck properly. And stick this one on, and then I can mount it all to the front of the card. Mount it on the front of the card, and it's easier to have the card flat and mount it on like so. So that's the bonus card. Now don't forget to be proud of your creations and stamp on the back like so. 7 cards made using this sunburst or starburst technique. I do hope you'll give it a go, because it's a lovely way of using those pads of designer paper that we all have. Let me know if there are any other techniques you'd like me to showcase, and I'd be happy to give it a go. Thank you, goodbye.